Hello everyone. So while I set up my web palette, welcome to tonight's Patreon stream where we are doing a Painting Black and Other Colours live with my guest host JP, who's currently using the toilet, so he is coming back in a few minutes. But I found these treasures. Look at this, dark marine blue, moody blue. Oh, let's alter the saturation as well, because the screen looks a bit bright at the moment. Nope, don't need that. Live stream filters, color correction. That's much better. Good. Okay. Got moody blue. Still kind of works. Might not work. Definitely won't work. Pop it on the pad anyway. We have marine dark blue. Look at that. We're going to have the classics tonight. In a very easy to follow recipe if you have 30-year-old paints. Look at that, it's separated out completely. Right. So for this exercise, we will be painting this Blackstone Fortress miniature. We will be exploring how to get different hues, different tones of black. And here comes my co-host for tonight, JP.
What are we doing?
We are painting black.
Awesome.
And other colours.
You know what my favorite color is?
Black?
Black.
Black.
Not a color, is it?
Black as hell. Some say this, some say this.
I thought it was generally agreed that it wasn't.
Depends what school of thought you subscribe to.
And what's your school, Miles?
I make a living off painting black, so it bear well be a colour.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. Right, let's just pop in some black on here as well. Little tip whenever you prepare a wet palette, always keep it nice and clean. So you want the colours in very separate positions, and then we can do all our mixing around in the palette itself. Let's grab some unusual colours. Let's have some fun tonight. I'm going to add a fluorescent yellow. We aren't doing anything easy tonight. It's all going to be almost unusual. So this webcast, I guess you call it, has been titled the Pre-Drinks Weekender. We're getting pumped up for the weekend. Super pumped up for the weekender. We just watched the Twitch stream where Book 8 isn't going to be there. And this is JP's first time. It's your first time in Britain, right?
Yeah.
It's your first time in Britain. It's your first time attending the weekender. All the years I've gone, I've sold it. Like, yeah, you need to come to this. It's the best.
Finally. True, Miles.
Yeah. Finally. And we got snow outside. Thanks for that, JP. And no Book 8. Perhaps you stopped because of the snow.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Alright. You know what? I'm not going to be negative about this. It's not going to ruin my vacation. Kind of bummed out, but there should still be some fun stuff. There better be.
Yeah. It's. I mean, even if the events aren't that great, the people will be good.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's a shocker. I must say, it's kind of a shocker. I think it was. I mean, you always have to take a grain of salt with something like this. That I'm sure they did everything in their power to get it. Because it's produced, we know that.
Yeah, it's been written, it's been printed apparently.
It's because this is... Okay, it has happened once that they had a major delay for their books, because their books are not printed in-house.
Printed in China.
Yeah, they're printed in China. So sometimes there's like... I recall this happening, I don't remember with which one.
I think it was book 6.
Was it? Yes, it was Retribution.
Yeah.
Retribution was delayed. It was supposed to come out before Christmas, and it was delayed because the ship carrying it was late or some stuff like that. Something anodyne like that. And they had it for the weekender, though. So this is the kind of stuff that happens, unfortunately. And, of course, we'd all prefer that those books were printed in the UK. People getting paid properly.
A fair wage.
Yeah.
Fair wage for a fair day's work.
I don't know, man. It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's not the note we wanted to start this this adventure on. So at the moment, I've mixed Elendil Violet and Thamar Black 50-50, and I'm just base coating all of the ceramic pieces of armour I do want the cloth here to be black as well, but it's a very different style of black that we'll explore a little later.
More than one type of black.
More than one type of black. There's more under heaven and earth than your philosophies could dream of. How about that? I feel like that boxing promoter, because whenever he was asked a question or a difficult question, he'd always kind of piss out a Shakespearean quote as if it kind of masqueraded as intelligence.
You mean Don King?
Don King, yeah. Okay, just gonna allow this to draw.
Yeah, what a great hype man though. He was more than a promoter, he was a hype man.
So Incubi Darkness, the colour of colours, and I'm going to roughly sketch in my first highlights. This layer, I'm not concerned whatsoever about the blend. I'm not concerned about feathering. I just want a very sketchy layer. For this, I'm using a Winsor & Newton series size 2. And my brush stroke is trying to keep in context with the volumes of the miniature. So with this piece, this breastplate, I'm trying to move in small circular motions. When it comes to this piece, I can work in big, broad brush strokes. My concern at this point isn't for neatness or even a blend, it's just to get primary notes down. Why Incubi Darkness on top of purple? Well, we can look at the colour wheel and we can see that green is well, nearly a opposite. Hold on. I have a handy colour wheel here. So we have green, and the opposite end we have purple. When we, well, Incubi Darkness is more of like a blue-green. So the green in the solution will neutralise the purple in the underlying layer, and we're able to produce a lot more of an interesting black for the armour plates. This gives the impression of a lacquered armour or an industrial. It's not fabric, at the very least. There you go. Let me make sure. Actually, it'd be a good idea if I could see the comments. Good. Oh, brilliant. Okay, got good turnout. Good to see you, everybody. Wi-Fi can't handle the stream. Have fun. I'll check this out now. Okay, no problem, Carlos. Ellis, stream is frozen with me. Sounds strange. So stream is frozen. Wicked. Stream has crashed. Yeah, it's just crashed out. Fuck.
Does that happen?
Yeah. Don't know why. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Look at that. 5-second delay. It's. Ooh. Okay, let's.
You just rejigger the whole thing? Just restart.
Well.
And read out comments.
Okay, hopefully it should be back up now. Fingers crossed. Maybe it's back up. Hopefully back up. So what was the last thing you guys heard me say? Something about complementary tones maybe, or analogous colours, or some of the other hit words I have. Essentially what I've done so far, hello Johan, essentially what I've done so far is add a layer of Elendil Violet plus purple across the entirety of the surface of the armour, and then I've used a sketch layer of Incubi Darkness because they're complementary tones on the colour wheel to give a more appetizing, a much nicer looking black. Now let's get a bit crazy. I got some fluorescent yellow and some sol yellow, and I mix this in with the green and a touch of white. The fluorescent paint there is to increase the luminosity, make it a little more eye-catching, and the yellow is in there to give a bit more of a. Oh, JPU's in the bathroom. I last said. Oh wow, that's early on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The
It wasn't that bad. I got back quickly.
Okay, so let's sketch it across like so. I'm not concerned one bit about the blend whatsoever. I just want to mark in the very, very sketchiest of tones. Let's see if we can get this closer for you guys.
So I guess no one heard our griping and complaining about the Weekender?
Yeah, maybe not. Did you guys hear about us griping about the Weekender? Let us know in the comments. Hello, the bag. I'm using a Winsor Newton Series 7 number 2. This is great for building up like these large scratchy tones. I'm trying to keep my brush strokes in context with the miniature. So with this large panel here, I'm going back and forth. With these panels here, I'm working in small circular motions. Again, your brushwork can determine so much about the overall appearance of the miniature and the volumes produced. So let's go through our gripes again. The Weekender. This I guess webcast was designed as a to get you pumped up for the Weekender. Get us all in the mood. It's a pre-drinks, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, we've just
want to get excited. You know, this is an exciting day.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be the marquee event of the year.
Yeah, for the Heresy. I mean, it's the event I look forward to more than anything else.
The weekend, even. The weekend you look forward to the most.
Yeah.
And myself, too. I'm living the dream right now. I've been dreaming about coming to a Weekender for as long as the Heresies existed.
I mean, many people have.
I've dreamed about going to Warhammer World since I was a child. A wee lad, if you will.
Yeah, and we've just heard that, unfortunately, Malevolence will not be available at the Weekender, which kind of puts a bit of a bummer on things. Yeah, what can you say? I mean, what do you guys think? What's happened there? Post it up in the comments. So you can see here I'm building up the contrast, building up the tones. Same mixture, same formula, but I'm just going over it a second time. I will be moving down a brush just to really add specificity to these highlights, but for the moment, more than happy just to block in the largest tones. The luminous paint I'm using a Game Color Flow. Now this, it feels unusual using yellow to highlight black, right? But if we went in with pure ivory or pure white, well, we can mess with the values right off the bat. Once you go to white, there's nowhere left to go. So working in the slightly more nuanced tones, it gives us a more realistic, it gives us a more kind of satisfying experience. What's your opinion on the Sanguinius model? Freaking love it. After seeing the 360 as well, I'm sold.
And the spear.
And the spear, yeah, confirmed spear. JP, what do you think of the model?
I never got the hatred of it. I mean, it was previewed earlier this week. I immediately thought it looked cool, and then everybody started shitting on it, which I didn't really get. So I was trying to. I'm looking at this model and trying to find the flaws with it, and there are a few. You had mentioned like the tassels that don't seem to be going the same direction as the rest of the model.
Yep.
The flow is kind of, I don't know. I didn't really notice any of that. I thought it just looked wicked. Hardly the worst they've ever done, but there was a lot of griping. But you know, what are you going to do?
Ooh, that's a topic of conversation. What is the worst Primarch in the Horus Heresy series? Guys, post it up. What is the worst?
Everybody knows it's Corax.
We're trying to elicit views and conversation.
Well, that was my view. You elicited my view, and I just mentioned it.
What do you think about that?
Everybody's going to agree with me because it's obviously the worst.
Corax.
Corax is the worst one.
Have you seen it in person?
No. Do you have one?
I don't have one here. I've painted a few.
Oh,
it is a phenomenal miniature. It's so full of...
I don't know. I don't like... And honestly, the only thing I don't like about the Sanguinius model is one of the things I don't like about the Corax model. I don't like the backwards flowing hair. I don't think it looks all that great. I don't like them being in overly action pose. Overly specific action pose. You know, give me a generic action pose like Ferris Man is swinging a hammer, but I don't know.
No, that's a conversation going on in the community at the moment, and it seems okay. What is your favorite Primarch? And then you post up. Okay, I like Lorgar because I like Sanguinius because it seems to be there's quite a clear divide between those people who like action poses and those who don't.
Yeah,
I mean it's a bit of a weird one, but personally, there are very few humdingers. I can't really think of any in the Primarch series. They all play to the character of the people. Like Lorgar, for example. The character is contemplative. There you go. That's the black how it looks like at the moment. The character's contemplative. He's not really an action hero. To have him in an action pose, I think would have been a disservice, or it wouldn't have been in context for that character to have an action pose. Russ, on the other hand, you couldn't have him in a static pose. He's a dynamic being.
Yeah, I agree. Just a couple of things I just don't like about the Korax model. Okay, number one, someone made an alternate head, like a helmeted head for Korax, and it improves the model significantly.
Oh, I
don't think the head works that great.
The other thing is, I don't like that they gave him this Archaeotech pistol and they made it so small. It looks out of proportion to the Primarch. I wish there was an. You know what I would give anything for is an alternate Korax, but like Istvan 5 Korax with the heavy bolter and everything. Like firing a heavy bolter with one hand.
There's a conversion out there with that, and it looks amazing. Where his wings are slightly like beaten up and broken. So I've just added ivory. I've moved down to a lower brush size. I'm just trying to refine the highlights I've built up so far. Same mixture, just adding slightly more ivory in there. I'm following this line of highlight and contrast I've built up.
See, John agrees.
Yeah.
Korax.
Best part
Johan,
is Angron. Worst is Korax.
I can't. Angron is almost perfect.
Love Angron.
And the fact that it's the first one they did is incredible. Yeah.
I think when you look back, he's slightly too small now, but that's only in context with the rest of the miniatures that have been released. As a miniature, he is freaking unbelievable. But, I mean, unpopular opinion, but I think Sanguinius is the best sculpt so far.
Well, we haven't seen it in person yet.
It's dynamic. No, I haven't seen it in person, that's true. But you haven't seen Korax, and you say it's the worst of the series?
I'm being a hypocrite.
Let's all be hypocrites tonight.
I don't know. That's one. I think the Korax is the one that disappointed me the most. Angron was a fantastic one. I think it fits well, and the fact that it was the first one is already very impressive. A lot of people don't like Perturabo because he's a bit tubby and his face is a bit goofy, but I like his stance.
Yeah.
Don't like his base that much. He's not one of the most perfect ones, but I think he works. What about Horus?
Oh, sorry guys, I'm suffering from a cold at the moment, so every now and again you're going to hear me barking. Barking and cough. Horus, yeah, Horus is flawless. You like Horus? Or you don't like Horus?
Oh, I love Horus.
Yeah, Horus is just, I think he's a flawless Primarch.
You know what? I think you might be right. I think a big part of it is the posing. Because I really like Primarchs that are in like command poses. Perturabo, Horus, Lorgar.
Kind of like statues of them.
Almost like statues, but again, Perturabo's not a statue. Lorgar, yes. A Horus, absolutely. You could buy a Horus and paint him out in marble and then put him on a plinth.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm full of them. But I think I prefer them as far as more than the action pose Primarchs.
So what do you think of Russ? What do you think of that Primarch?
I think he's well done.
The miniature?
I'm a big fan.
Not as enthusiastic as the more static, statuesque poses.
I still think it's one of the better ones they did. I would put in I'll put in the top half.
Yeah, sure.
It's hard to find because there are no real clunkers.
No, absolutely
in that line.
Not. I think if you're being ultra critical, and if I was to point to one that I dislike the most, I'd probably say Alfarius, because it doesn't feel very inspiring of a sculpt. When you look at it, it feels very CAD designed, very kind of like copy and pasted from the Linnaeans. But I mean, that's not to say I dislike the miniature. I really like the miniature. It's posed well and it does the job. When you look at him, he's very recognisably Alfarius. But when you compare him to, I mean, some of the just masterpieces in the series, I don't think he quite holds up next to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the initial sketch layers completed. Very sketchy. We need to blend these tones together. How do we do that? Our friend Incubi Darkness and a pinch of black. And we are adding quite a lot of water to this. Okay, any questions? If you have any questions on anything we're doing tonight, anything that you want to see painted, any general questions about painting. And I mean, I have JP here all the way over from Canada. If you have any questions for him,
I'm here just for this, by the way.
Just for this.
Catching a flight back home tomorrow.
Yeah, after the news. I don't blame you.
Screw this.
Yeah, screw this. Philip asks, where's book 8? We have no idea.
He said, didn't he say when's book 8?
Where's book 8?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sad face.
Yeah, I got you. No, sorry, it's because the screen is very far from me. So, and my eyesight is terrible. Yeah, that's a bummer. It's like we were saying before, but didn't, obviously the stream wasn't working. This is not the first time they've had issues getting those books to market on time, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like Retribution, book 6 was delayed, mainly because it's they're produced in China and like the ship was late and they couldn't get it out by Christmas. It could be something anodyne and boring like that. All I can say is that that's a huge disappointment. And still, the optimistic part of me would like to think that they're gonna do something to make up for it, not completely, but I'm sure this will still be an event worth going to.
Yeah.
Well, at least I hope so.
Okay, so that's quite a well-reasoned answer. What are your conspiracy theories? Do you think the Forge World Studio are trying to sink the Horus Heresy, and by doing this, by puncturing the community? Of course not, but let's hear some funny theories. Let's hear some crazy theories out there of what's happening behind the scenes. It does feel bad that the flagship event of the year for the Heresy doesn't have kind of like a flagship release for it. Even so, if I didn't collect Blood Angels, I'd feel quite hard done by going to this weekender.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that Sanguinius is there. I mean, I always have a great time there, even if they weren't specific releases for me. Last year was good. I know some people have complaints about it, but last year I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I get the feeling maybe that they're going to pull something out of the bag, hopefully.
I'm optimistic. Well, someone had asked if there's at least going to be rules for Sanguinius. They didn't say no. I feel that they at least have to give everybody like Sanguinius' rules. And not this, because they did that with Rust too, if you recall. They gave Rust Get You By rules, which turned out to be pretty damn close. I don't recall any major differences between.
No, I think they replaced the rules with like the Paragon Blade with the full rules for his spear. Sorry, not spear. His got Sanguinius in the brain. For his equipment.
Yeah, I see. That's a good Daddy Warcrime 78. That's a good question with the scars. The idea that maybe it's not looking optimistic for much about the scars this weekend. Oh shit, Mike's here too. Yeah. It's a bummer for the scars.
Mike, how are you feeling after the news? Because I know you were really looking forward to the book.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, because you're right. Like every question about the scars seemed really, really. They seem cagey throughout. I find like more than usual. I think they're also a little bit surprised. The feeling I got, they were a little bit surprised that they don't have the book. And obviously they're not going to start, pointing fingers or complaining or not towing the company line. But something went wrong. But I'm hoping they do have. There has to be something for the scars. There has to be at least a work in progress of Jagatai Khan and some clues as to what the scars are going to be.
I think we'll see preview units of them. I wouldn't be surprised if we had maybe a unit to buy.
You think maybe? Maybe,
yeah. I think a Blood Angel unit to buy and a White Scar unit to buy.
It'd be a shame if they didn't, because how long are we going to have to wait for that? You know what I really feel bad about is less the scars and the Blood Angels, yes, because we know the book is coming. So I feel bad for the Dark Angels.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a while.
How long is that book going to take to get to them?
Yeah, Mark selling his Blood Angels, his Dark Angels army is looking more and more like a good idea.
Yeah. Well, until they come back and he has to buy all the old stuff again.
I think I know who bought his Dark Angels army, and he could probably get it back.
Okay. That might be an option for the future.
We'll see. No, I don't know what's going to happen with the scars. But I'm optimistic there's going to be something like. it's a bummer with Book 8, but I don't see them not making every effort to I guess to save this where it's possible, because a lot of people are going to be really disappointed, especially people that don't know. There was no public announcement. They just mentioned it on a live stream. You can easily, like, of course, you know, by now the internet will have been inflamed.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not good. Okay, Third Dimensions VR. Yes, in the future. I'm not sure when. It won't be next month, February, but we will look to schedule it shortly after that. Next month is. You'll have to indulge me here, guys. It's going to be Blood Angel content, wall to wall. But yeah, month after that, unless there's any major releases, we'll look to put out a PDF tutorial for them with updated color schemes for them. Because at the moment, the current Sons of Horus color scheme I uses Forge World paints, which are out of production. So I'll have a full PDF with alternates for that. Ellis only bought a Weekender because it's all meant to be heresy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But. Okay, for something positive to say, we did listen to a bit of the Necromunda. This might not be a positive for the guys listening to this, but we did listen to a bit of the Necromunda feed, and there's a lot of creativity there in that portion of the studio. The designers are cracking out beautiful miniatures. The rules seem really dynamic and fun to play. As far, I mean,
yeah, but I don't play it, so it doesn't help me, does it?
Well, you might after this weekend.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was supposed to be, because originally it was supposed to be a Specialized Games. Last year was also Heresy and Necromunda. There was a pretty big outcry a few months ago when the tickets went on sale, and it turned out to be like really 50-50 event. And then Forge World came back and said, it's like, no, this is really going to be the Horus Heresy weekend and a Weekender, and apparently now we know there's a lot of Necromunda stuff. That doesn't bother me so long, like, it doesn't bother me at all so long as the Heresy stuff is, is solid.
So at these events, there are always seminars, there are always events that really clearly stood out, and you felt like you were missing out on a lot of the other things. I think instead of having, I don't want to say dead seminars, because that does a disservice to the Black Library writers and the artists in the other seminars. But if you had something like a viable alternative, I think it was pitched towards, it was marketed wrong, because exclusively Horus Heresy, well, you're only going to get Horus Heresy players wanted to turn up.
You were asking for conspiracy theories.
Oh, yes.
You want me to throw one at you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Remember how no one knew that there was going to be also a bunch of Weekender stuff? When they found out that they wouldn't have Malevolence on hand, that's when they threw all the Necromunda on there. Oh. Because they were lack of content. Because they can't talk about the book now because it's not out. Yeah. That's a conspiracy theory for you.
That's a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah, stick with that one under your tinfoil hat.
What do you think they will talk about at the weekend? I mean, they famously tight-lipped about this kind of stuff, that they don't want to talk about rules or miniatures or fluff history before the book gets a chance to be out there. So will they be as normally tight-lipped about this kind of stuff? When you talk to the designers, to the artists?
I hope not. Like, at this point, I don't know. I don't know what to expect anymore. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing to go in there a little bit with, an open mind as to what's going to be.
I don't know. But Ellis, you mentioned like we should stop defending Forge World.
Defending Forge World?
Well, I don't think we're
that's our opinion, Ellis. What do you want us to say?
I'm optimistic. I remain optimistic about all this stuff, and at the end of the day, it's a luxury hobby, and it's just for fun. But yeah,
I mean, okay.
There's some. This is
how have we defended Forge World?
Oh, I defend Forge World all the time. I always try to look at the positive side of things. That's fair. I think. That's fair.
So if we've been defending Forge World, what's the flip view of it? How do we go about criticising them? That it's a poorly run event. Okay, we said that. It's been misadvertised. They haven't got their flagship book. We've said that. That's a criticism.
Do you think not wanting to burn the heresy to the ground and sell all their armies?
Oh, yeah.
No. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair to the people that do have legitimate complaints. And I think in this particular case, the complaint is perfectly legitimate. And I'm not. I'm not gonna. Because sometimes the internet goes too far, and Like the sanguineous stuff. I didn't even understand most of that criticism.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it goes too far and forgets the basic fact that this is a luxury product and we quit any time. It's not like people are denying us or raising the price on insulin. That's sort of, especially with price increase, that's kind of the attitude I try to have. But no, I think in this and other cases, I think criticism's fair. And you know, we're passionate about this stuff, so.
Okay, I'm adding final specular highlights with white up in the very top aspects of the black armor. This was built up, again, if you didn't catch it at the beginning, grab your notebooks now. We did this by adding a layer of Elendil Violet to begin with, a wash over all the black armor. Then we built a very sketchy layer of Incubi Darkness on top of that. We've reinforced that. We've added a further stronger highlight on top of that with Incubi Darkness plus fluorescent yellow plus sol yellow plus white to create this kind of like undead skin appearance. We've further highlighted that, and then we've increased the amount of white to refine those highlights. So that is how you build up this ceramic armor. I'll show it to JP once I've done the fiddling around.
I think it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, there's an irony here, right? That we're talking about lack of Forge World releases. We're a Horus Heresy podcast, and I'm painting up Blackstone Fortress miniature.
Yeah, but they're gorgeous though.
They are.
It's a great release.
They are gorgeous, and as a demonstration piece for black armor, I don't think you could.
But let me turn this around on you. That could easily be a militiaman.
It could. Easily.
Is that one of the cultists?
This is one of the characters. I'm not sure what she's called. She's kind of like a part of the Arcoflagellants.
Well, you see character. I see one person of a two-person flamer team.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Gotta be optimistic.
There you go. Yeah, have to defend.
No, those cultists would be perfect militia. They are amazing. Just run. I wouldn't do the cult horde thing. You run. Was it cult horde? Yeah, run cult horde without tainted flesh. You run cult horde and I don't know. Give him. Alchem Jackers.
Ooh.
No, because now you're just doubling up on the stubborn.
You can ask Anoush about the
New Providences.
Yeah.
The question is coming. The question is coming. Also, now I'm worried about the Talarn book, where I'm assuming they're keeping our militia armored list.
Nope, scrapped.
That's not gonna be scrapped.
Get out of here, scrapped.
They're gonna do Talarn.
They're gonna scrap the heresy before they get to Talarn. No, sorry, that was such a troll comment. That was so inflammatory. Yeah, sorry. I'm not going to do that again. Sorry, guys. You don't come here for that. This is why I talk about painting so much, because I have a horrible personality. Right, okay. So that's pretty much a nice black that we've built up. Yep, very handsome. Okay, let's have a look at a more cloth-like black. Okay, so we've done the ceramic armor. Looks glistening. For this portion, though, we don't want the same kind of hue ranges. We don't want to use as many colours there. We want it slightly duller because it doesn't reflect as many surfaces around it. So what I could do, I could start off with black. Let's go with Moody Blue, which is a 30-year-old Games Workshop colour. Very easy for you guys to find. Just jump on eBay and pay the exorbitant prices. But no, it's a dark blue. Use any dark blue in your collection. And okay, blink and you'll miss this, because this is wet blending. I'm going to show you here. I'm going to add a layer on top of this portion. I'm going to wipe off my brush, and by the time I've done that, I'm going to take some ivory, very thick, consistent dollop at the top. I'm going to roll this down the top of her arm. I'm not worried one bit about the blend or the glaze, because the wetness of the paint will just gradually bleed that together. And I can see I could take a bit more black plus Moody Blue or any dark blue that you have in your collection to reinforce the shadow, and I'm mixing the paint on the miniature itself. Don't be afraid to really punch up the contrast in these portions, because this will dry a lot duller than you may appreciate, because the paint is still moving, the pigment's still shifting around. So always, so I heard a great phrase this week from an art teacher, somebody's art teacher, that you want to push it until it breaks, then take a step backward. I think that's such a great phrase for what we are trying to achieve here. So that's the wet blend on her arm. Any more questions? What's the easiest way to paint thralls quick and easy? Mechanicum thralls, I think, Ellis. Quick and easy.
You want to use those army painter big cans of paint that you dip bottles in and all those crap?
You don't want to use Army Painter. Now sponsored by Army Painter.
Percocet! Oh.
No. Ellis, if you could tell me what thralls and what colour scheme, perhaps we can devise something now, here. Right. Don't think it's a conspiracy theory. Oh, yeah, sorry, Ellis. Yeah. Yep, not a problem. Okay, Ellis, tell me what thralls you were thinking of, and we'll come up with a scheme. In the meantime, let's have a look more at wet blending. I want to paint her skirt in a bright, fiery red, because why not? Red is one of my favourite colours, for obvious reasons. I just grabbed purple. That's no good. Okay, deep red. Yep, pop that on here. Let's get... So, if you've watched me before, you know I have a bit of a proclivity for sunny skin tone when highlighting red. But I'm going to break that tradition. I am more than a one-trick pony. We are using medium flesh tone instead. Vastly different. I'm going to mix in a bit of the yellow fluorescent and the yellow, and we're going to mix some... we need a darker blue than that. Okay, we're going to mix some Huldra blue into the shadow. So yeah, this is a scale 75 colour. It's a current colour, you don't need to worry about not finding it. Okay, to begin the process we need a good consistent layer of red. So I'm just going to base coat, nothing fancy, it's slightly more watered down, slightly more thinned down. Just to allow it to run off the brush nicely. Covering really well. Okay. Be neat. Don't let it slide over any of the black armor we've just painted. We've just painstakingly worked up. And what we'll do, just to save time, we'll only work on half of the tabard. And we could do a comparison between the two. The painted tabard and the non-painted tabard. If you're looking to paint Blood Angels, or more specifically, I think this recipe would really benefit Flesh Tearers, that slightly darker, more carmine red. For the Blood Angels, you can use exactly the same paint recipe I'm about to use, but start with a lighter base tone. So instead of the deep red, try and use Antar, or even Blood Red, which this is. So use something slightly different, a slightly lighter base. Okay, right, for this. Oh, brilliant, we've got 15, good God, we've got 15 people watching. I think that's a record. If you're watching for the first time, please leave a comment in the... live stream down. And back up. If you're watching for the first time, please leave a message. Please say hello. It makes me feel less like a serial killer. If you've never even heard of the Age of Darkness podcast, you can find us on YouTube.
We're not on YouTube.
We're not on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. It's because we're on YouTube now. You can find
way too much work.
You can find the Age of Darkness on...
SoundCloud.
Facebook, SoundCloud. Yeah, I mean the SoundCloud. And Facebook. And iTunes, yeah.
And iTunes.
Yeah. Put me on the spot here. I'm supposed to know this stuff.
Sorry, yeah. Where I do a segment called Painting Black and Other Colours, where I try and very awkwardly explain painting recipes via a non-visual medium.
And do a great job doing it.
And I do a fantastic job of doing so.
Really impressive.
Right, okay, let's do this wet blending. Okay, it's not fully dry, but we can get into it here. To begin the wet blend, I take a much, much more watered down version of the Blood Red. And I coat this over the top of the base, the top of the base coat. I take my brush, wipe it off, dry it, and in that time the paint should have cured enough to allow me to add the shadows. I'm not watering down this paint whatsoever. I'm going to take a very thick dollop at the tip of the brush, and it's still quite wet at the moment. I'm going to allow it to dry for a couple of seconds. We can start it here. I'm going to draw the brush along here. Look at that. That looks dreadful, right? But I'm going to take my brush, clean it, and I'm going to feather it into the surroundings. I'm just drawing a clean brush across it to feather. And you know, if I'm quick enough, I can take my deep red, big, thick, consistent layer again, clean the brush, and I can feather that upward. Look at that. We have a blend. Now this technique, I make it look frustratingly easy, but you have to bear in mind a few years. These miniatures are perfect for trying these kind of techniques out on, because they're full of character, full of textures that you could just go nuts with. So I'm going to speed it up here so you can see how I paint in real time, and now you can understand why I manage to paint as quickly and as many miniatures as I do. Take some red, dollop it on, work in the transition. Okay, there we have a very rough transition. And this is all you want at this stage when working with this big thick dollops of paint. Don't thin your paints down, and mix and maneuver them together. It should feel like you're mixing mud together practically. Do a little bit under here as well, because this is mainly in shadow. Most of this will be caught with the blue. Touch of blue. Work this into here. Now inevitably you will have a few slips because the speed we're working, this doesn't look quite right. Very harsh transition here. Allow it to fully dry before moving on. So I'm going to hit this with a hairdryer. Okay. Rightio. Before we go into the highlight, let's have a look at any comments we've received. Mechanicum, ones with the Laszlocks. I'm probably going to do a Mechanicum in metallic armor panels. Have you tried the color shift paints? There's a tutorial up on... Oh, no, that's coming up in the future. Sorry, I didn't want to give that away. But there will be there's a tutorial coming up on color shift paints on the Alpha Legion and the Iron Hands. I've recently painted up a couple of consoles. Very quick, very easy ways to do them using a combination of color shift paints and oil paint. I'll be posting that up probably next month because they're really nice introductory videos. But primary focus on the Blood Angels. If I manage to get around to it, I should be able to release at least one. I'll make sure it's the Iron Hands. There are many, so I think I've done one on the Dark Eldar with a color shift pigment, and there should be a Mechanicum one already on the Patreon. But essentially use Martian green, apply that on the top of any metallic surface, then use Nuln Oil over the top of everything. take a sponge, chip silver around the edges to give a edge highlight kind of appearance, reapply a very thin layer of the Green Stuff World Color Shift paint, again Martian green, and then apply oil paints to reapply definition to it. So hopefully that will give you a few ideas to start working up your own scheme. Cordell, oh, first time here. Hey, how are you doing, Cordell? I am indeed at the weekend, so is my co-host for tonight's lesson, or seminar rather, JP. We're both there. In fact, JP's travelled all the way over from sunny Canada to snowy Britain.
I think I'm just bringing it with me.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
And Cordell asks, would this work with an ink instead of a black paint? Yeah, absolutely. You should always view these tutorials not as an end of themselves. It's more of a springboard to try your own work. If you think something could work, give it a damn good try, because you might hit on something. Soviet, hey, how you doing, Soviet? Any more Adeptus Titanicus videos? Hell yes, hell yes. Actually, I've been working on finishing off this handsome chappy, and there will be a full tutorial on how to do House Tidville. And there will be, I mean, with Titan Death coming out especially, looking at House Solaria, how to do that mottled effect. I've seen a few people how they talk about how they want to achieve it, like with wet wipes, etc. No. There's a secret to doing that well, and that secret will be coming up in the Patreon in the future. But yeah, oh god, yeah, Titanicus, hell yes. There's going to be a lot more to especially seminars on that subject. Johan, anyone know what happened with Black Sun Miniatures release? They've had some problems with distribution. I've emailed the owner, very apologetic, very quick in responding, which I think is a big plus, because the last thing you want to do is leave this thing overhanging your customers. But I've been told they are shipping out the end of January. Whether it will or not, I have hopefully I have faith, because the miniatures are freaking insane. Oh, Cordell, cool, sweet. I have to meet up and buy you a drink. Yeah, he's gonna buy me. He's not gonna buy you a drink.
Really?
Yeah, he's only gonna buy me a drink.
That's rude.
Well, now that book 8's not coming out, my beer budget is a lot bigger.
Ryo. Okay, next stage, the highlight. Deep red, watered down. Let's glaze this on the top. Same process. I have enough time to knock off any excess paint from my brush. The very tip of the brush, I will take some medium flesh tone. Actually, I'm just going to use pure medium flesh tone. I'm going to draw a line along the highlight where I want it to be. I'm going to move the brush back and forth to knock off any excess paint. See here, we end up with quite a lot of tide marks. That means the paint is slightly too thin for our purposes. But when this happens, no need to worry, no need to freak out. Flare out the tip of your brush and feather this into the surroundings. It happens, it's one of those things, because it says it's wet blending, you feel like you should work in very, very, very diluted tones when you don't need it as thin as maybe a glaze. There you go. So we're working with that principle of pushing it until it breaks, then taking a step back. Okay, deep red. Very thick, consistent result. Very thick, consistent coat of medium flesh. Mix it together. And with this texture, you can flay out the tip of your bristles in order to imitate the cloth. Holy hell, we have so many people watching. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. If you do like this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Make sure you do it tomorrow, though. Don't sign up tonight, otherwise you'll be double charged. Because all payments are taken on the 1st of the month. So if you were considering being Patreon, next month is going to be a hell of a month. So we have the Blood Angel tutorial coming out tonight, We have Blood Angel Red on the Legion Champion with the upgraded video sets. That's all in 4K. We'll have more seminars specifically on anything released on the Heresy Weekender. So the Night Lords Praetors, we'll have Blood Knights, we'll have Sanguinius. It's going to be bursting full of content next month. So it's a really good time to sign up. And at the end of February, I will be opening up more tuition places. So if you really want to supercharge your hobby, I'll be offering one-to-one online tuition if you wanted to improve your wet blending, if you want to go into more depth about colour theory, understanding why we choose the colours that we do, skin tones, sculpting, how to paint red, how to paint the side of walls, anything you can think of. It's a really good time to jump on board with that. If you are jumping on for the first time, I'd highly advise the $15 because that gives you access to everything. A whole library of previous video tutorials, PDF tutorials and seminars, and everything apart from the tuition. But it's a really nice introduction, and it should introduce you to the world of oil painting, using oils in your own work, textures, blending, and we have a new format for the videos that is proving to be very, very popular. So I'm just splaying out the bristles here. So I've moved from a wet blend into a layering technique where I'm adding layer upon layer of paint, one on top of another, sorry. Oh my gosh. To improve the contrast. So let's add a bit of yellow in here as well for my final highlight. Oh, it's a bit too much there, so I could just knock that back. Oh, way too much. It happens. Okay, right, I forgot the underneath here. There's not going to be too much in the way of highlight underneath her robe, purely because it's mainly left in shadow. I can quickly work this up. Okay, at the moment we have a very nice looking skirt, I guess you could call it, but it looks very strong, the transitions between them. You can see how vast it is between the red and that. What can we do here? Well, use my favorite thing in the world to use at the moment, inks. Let's take Deep Red by Winsor & Newton. When you use these paints, be aware they do have a very long drying time on them. So when you gloss varnish them, when you use any kind of protecting sealer on there, or if you even try and paint a lighter colour on top, something with a higher luminescence value, say like white, you may find there's a bit of bleed through there. So just wait some time, allow it to do its work. I'm going to add this ink to my Deep Red to punch up the saturation. I'm going to add water to create a glaze consistency. I'm going to run this across the entirety of the red. You can see it should unify, it should unite all those very disparate tones. You know, if I'm quick enough, I can even add some more texture with my medium flesh tone. You can see how I'm using the brush in kind of like a stabbing motion to create artificial texture. There you go. So this may dry slightly satin. Add a layer of matte varnish on top of this. Perfect. You have a very bright, vibrant, yet the highlights on it don't really pop out at you. So it's a very vibrant red, but it's also looks weather worn. In order to sell that appearance a bit more, let's add some white. Yeah, Siminkeby Darkness as well. Why not? Let's add it in. Let's add everything in before it fully dries. Touch of the red as well, right towards the hem, because this would have the greatest amount of discoloration. You can see how I'm using a stabbing motion with my brush to create incidental marks and lines. Ooh, bit of a mistake there. So before that dries, I could just take some of my original deep red, glaze that on top to get rid of the mistake. There you go. Righty, ooh,
Fancy.
very fancy.
Looks
Okay,
good.
let's see if we have
Looks
any comments. Okay, oh, cool. We've wrangled a drink out of Cordell. He's buying us both a drink.
Yes!
But we will make. I'll make sure I'll buy you a drink back. We aren't those kind of guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, we are all about the community. I'm making this hand gesture right
That's the
now.
most important thing.
Community, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the offer, Cordell. Can't wait to meet you. Yeah, tomorrow. Shit, it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it came up fast, eh?
So quickly. Yeah.
Damn.
It only feels like, I mean, the start of December, I started counting every day. Yeah, it's just flown by. Right, Mike. You there tomorrow, Mark JP? Miles JP. Mark isn't there, unfortunately. Was worried about the snow and thinking of heading up tonight, but now there's no book. I'm sitting on my backside with a brew, see how a heavy snow tonight goes. No plans on leaving tonight. I think we should be okay. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're leaving in the we're leaving in the morning. Should be there.
Yeah, should be there about 1 o'clock at Warhammer World.
No.
I have to take JP to the Mecca of this community.
We'll finally fulfill a childhood dream.
Yeah, it's seeing Mike McVeigh's diorama of
Yeah,
the Emperor taking on
absolutely.
Horus.
I poured over that white dwarf so much when I was a kid.
Same
I practically like tore it to pieces.
Same here.
Yeah, it's just a classic.
Right, are your past tuition videos available to download? Yes, they are. Everything I've ever done is all available via the Patreon. Every single video, every single PDF, everything I've ever done. There are no extra payment walls inside there. You don't have to. Once you pay that $15, you get access to everything, save the tuition series, which I'm opening more places at the end of February. Toby, what size brush is that? Tonight I've used the size 2 and the 00 Winsor Newton. Rich McCormack, hey Rich, oh my god, it's one of my old students. Hey Rich, would you use a wet blending for Dark Angel style cream coats? Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Which colours would it build up from? Probably a Flat Earth by Tamiya, and then Ivory in with that. Having trouble making a Samael's cloak look interesting. Yeah, that is a common problem. I'm obviously not Miles, but the Amon tutorial on his Patreon is fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, Toby, thank you so much for that. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will see those of you tomorrow going to the Weekender. From myself and JP, good evening.
Cheers.